From a taxonomy perspective, it's important to lay out all the different types of incidents that may occur within your environment so that you're well prepared to respond accordingly. Classification of incidents essentially enables the prioritization of incident management, and it also enables meaningful metrics at the end of the year. So from a category perspective, was it unauthorized access? Was it malware that executed or denial of service? Maybe it was improper usage by an IT administrator or an unsuccessful access attempt. These are all different types of categories that may be associated with an incident. And then from a type perspective, is it APT, an advanced persistent threat? Maybe it's a state-sponsored espionage campaign that's targeting your intellectual property. Or is it hacktivism, like anonymous, or an insider threat, or an opportunistic threat? It could just be a nuisance threat. And then from a severity perspective, is it critical, high, moderate, or low? And when we're talking about severity, it can mean a lot of different things. It could be impact to the bottom line, the business, up and running time, so if systems need to come down, that essentially is all going to affect the business. So from an incident taxonomy perspective, there are other areas that you want to include as well. So from a detection method, end user support, was it submitted by an end user? Was a law enforcement official come in, like the FBI, to notify it and tell you that something's wrong within your environment? Or maybe it was a DLP product or an intrusion prevention system. It's important to identify what the initial detection method was, because at the end of the year you can look back and see, okay, across all of my incidents, what tools or technologies or maybe individuals within the organization reported an incident. Where am I investing, and am I investing in the right place? And then vector-wise, how did they get in? Was it via a spear phishing attack through email? Was it an end-user action or a vulnerability exploited? So if it's an email, maybe you need to invest in the technology that mitigates at the email gateway layer. Or maybe from a vulnerability perspective, maybe you need to focus on patch management. These are all things that are important or critical to identifying maybe where you need to focus your efforts from a security initiatives perspective. And then impact-wise, what occurred, right? Was there an employee dismissed, HR ethics violation? Was there a loss of productivity within the business? Or was it just unauthorized privileges or web defacement? So making sure you identify what the impact is to the company is important too. In addition to intent, so was it non-malicious or malicious, theft, accidental? These are all critical components that will derive some meaningful metrics as you're going on. And then finally, the three other ones I would recommend is around the data that's exposed, right? Was it public or confidential, export control? This will tell you what types of information are potentially targeted. From a mitigation perspective, how did you remediate that particular incident? Was it due to OS patching, or did you require maybe user awareness and training? I'll speak to the user awareness and training. It's tough from that perspective, because it almost doesn't matter how much you train individuals, even though it's important. There's always going to be somebody like Bob in accounting that clicks that email link, or Adam or Andy, the IT admin, who forgets to or neglects to shut down a specific firewall port. So there's always that human intervention that you need to take into consideration. And any controls that you can do from a preventative perspective up front is a recommended course. And then what was the root cause ultimately? Was it an unauthorized action? Was it vulnerability management or theft? Or maybe it was a key security control failure and gap, or a complete disregard of policy. These are all critical to answer, as you're going through your incident response cycle.